Hey there. Welcome to the Cel-Outs podcast.
Welcome back.
Today we are in mourning.
Somewhat, not entirely.
Because our fond memories of our cartoon have died.
Have fallen, if not held up, to say the very least.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a cartoon man with the initials JB?
Jack Black. He's a pretty cartoony man.
That's pretty close. I'll give you two more guesses before I tell you no.
Jake
Jake Blonde? Also no.
I was gonna do Jake Long, American Dragon.
That's close. Maybe his middle initial is a B. I'm just gonna skip the third option.
I was doing Jake Blong.
I'm just gonna skip the third option and get right into the meat of this, which is our poor friend Johnny Bravo. We wanted to talk about this show because we both think that he's a very funny character. We remembered liking what we saw of it when we were younger.
About like a year ago, I watched a single episode and it was really funny. Mm-hmm. I don't remember which one that was. I think it was a season 1 episode.
Most likely.
But that was a mixed bag to say the least.
Aside from season 1, the show felt pretty weak to us in general, and at some points incredibly manipulative. Mm-hmm. So where do we want to start with this one?
Let's first talk about what episodes we actually watched.
Okay.
So we did kind of a sampling of different episodes. We decided to jump around.
Yeah, because we didn't want to watch just like all of them from the same season or like all of them that were the best regarded, because we wanted to get sort of a mishmash of things so we could form an opinion of what we saw.
And there's no continuity.
Absolutely not.
So no point in doing that.
Yeah.
But okay, so we did some season 1. We did a couple of season 2. I
think so.
Just like a few. And then we did majority season 3 and then 3 season 4.
After we were intrigued by season 4, we had to take a couple more of that one because we were content with just one, but
season 4 we
got dragged down the rabbit hole.
After last week of watching a cartoon that we really, really liked, I guess it's good for us to
kind of hit rock bottom immediately.
Enjoy. Yeah.
So OKKO, which we talked about last week, was very consistent, very funny, had a lot of drive behind it. Even season 1 of Johnny Bravo, which was mostly what we enjoyed. We did enjoy some of season 2 and season 3, but it just didn't have the same kind of energy behind it. And when it did have jokes, they were good. They made us laugh. We both LOL'd at various points watching some of these episodes, but as a whole, it didn't have the same kind of driving force behind it. It felt season 1 was fine. I don't have any qualms with season 1. The episodes are only 7 minutes long, so even if they do drag a bit, they're over quick. The jokes that do hit well stay with you because the episode's over as soon as those kind of fully set in.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that. Those episodes were solid because they featured the most of just Johnny talking and doing very weirdly specific kind of 50s greaser wordisms. I don't know.
And that's where this show really shines, is showing off Johnny as a character. And that's kind of how the later seasons completely derail, like what made season 1 pretty good, because they don't focus as much on Johnny and his wordisms, I guess, and just him
phrasings.
Phrasings. Him as a character, because he's pretty funny. I mean, he's got one thing that he cares about, and that's babes.
Let's talk about Johnny as a character. So he cares about babes, but he also has his very macho persona, and the whole conceit of the show is there are women in power, and Johnny fucks it up, and then they beat the shit out of him.
That's it. That's the show.
That is the show. So here's a question for you that I was thinking about kind of the entire time is, would this show get made today?
I don't think so.
Not at all? Could some permutation of this go on the air?
As it is right now, I'm going to say almost definitely no, but there could be some ways that it could work, because it's at points it's almost reductive. Like when we were watching the episode about the biosphere, there's like this woman who's supposed to be like an amazing scientist, and she's been selected to choose to like go into this biosphere and survive for a year doing all this sciencey things. And her introduction is that she's a dental hygienist. It's kind of said like offhandedly, like, you know, it's not something that they focus on for more than a second, but it's just, you know,
the joke is that she's not terribly qualified.
Yeah,
jokes like that don't feel very good or clever. That's the big problem with this show, is it feels like it's lacking a fundamental sense of cleverness with the dialogue.
Yeah.
The first season had a bit of that, and that's what made it really funny.
Yeah.
At times.
And it was always at the expense of Johnny being like sort of the reason for all of the bad things that are happening to him, is that he's an asshole, basically.
Johnny needs to be the scapegoat.
Yeah.
For this show to work. Because he's very likable in that he's funny. He's funny, exactly. So he's just like this lovable schlub. Mm-hmm. He's got the classic sitcom kind of thing, but it's a very original take on it because it's a young guy who
he's a loser. He lives with his mom. He never gets babes. He looks like the Fonz sort of, but he can't get girls. He's not cool enough. He's too inept.
The point of the show is to root for him to lose.
Yeah.
And it can be really funny when he loses because of the way he reacts to things.
And he deserves it.
And he deserves it. But the funniest dialogue of the show is seeing him react to the world around him in a unique way that is specific to him. It's got the 50s slang to it. Mm-hmm. These oddly specific little mannerisms that complete his character.
Yeah.
That make him unlike any other cartoon star.
Mm-hmm. And that's what makes him feel like Johnny Bravo, and that's what makes the show shine. And whenever it shies away from that, it really feels like there's almost nothing to it.
Yeah, pretty much everything else is just normal cartoon tropes. I mean, he has the
nerdy guy.
He has the little girl character, Susie.
The mom.
Is that her name?
That's Susie.
Yes. I like his mom.
We should talk about the voice actors at some point, too, because there are some stars in there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Johnny Bravo himself, I don't know who voices him.
It's Jeff Bennett. Who else did he voice that was important? I should have written this down. He was Raj from Camp Lazlo. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
It's not a huge role, but it is very different from Johnny Bravo. It's not what you would expect from somebody who voices him. Do we want to talk about more voice actors, or did we have more to go with the direction we were going?
I guess we can talk about the side character that Tom Kenny plays.
Okay. There's also a very nerdy guy. We brought him up very briefly. Carl, he has a last name I don't remember. But
I actually really like his design in this.
Yeah, he's funny. He's got a good nerd design. Like, he's got dumb hair. He's got really angular glasses, which is funny.
But he's very angular. That's the part of... I mean, every character in this show is angular. That's kind of the late 90s, early 2000s Cartoon Network look. It's having really angular lines and then having a background that's similarly angular, but they don't have outlines on the background.
It's all...
So, and then that's kind of like textured in a way that's very grainy, usually. So it's a very specific look. I would say that it's aged a little bit poorly.
Maybe.
It
definitely shows when it came out.
Yeah, and some of the backgrounds were really lazy. That may have been just fourth
more so
season.
later on.
Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, Carl, voiced by Tom Kenny, a very big voice acting man in this day and age. He's voiced SpongeBob, Ice King, Carl from Johnny Bravo,
and just hundreds of other characters in other shows, like everything. I mean, he's in Samurai Jack.
Is he? Who is he playing Samurai Jack?
Lots of side characters.
Oh, cool.
In the original show, at least. And he's one of the villains in the new series.
Okay.
So we should definitely watch that one. He does lots of
stuff. We should. I've heard good things about the latest season of Samurai Jack. I haven't.
You might actually like it.
We'll see.
Imagine that.
How novel, a cartoon that we liked.
So what do we want to...
50-50 so far. So other voice actors, Little Susie, she is Mae Whitman, who is Katara in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh.
A few years down the line, she gets a little older. She was nominated for, I think, a Golden Reel Award for this show for voice acting Little Susie as a young lady. I'm not sure how old she would have been doing that, but it's pretty cool. She's also in The Perks of Being a Wallflower. She's the emo girl.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that movie.
She does some live action stuff, too.
So
She's really hot in that movie. With her blue hair and her side cut. It's cool.
Thank you, Zach.
No problem. Just giving my input.
No.
Well, that's it for the characters.
Those are the characters. Let's talk about his mom for a second.
Oh, yeah, his mom.
Because I feel like we didn't watch any episodes that
really featured her that much.
Yeah. But she was one of my favorites when I was a kid, I think. I remember liking her just because
she's a sweet lady. She means well.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a subversion of the trope that, like... I don't know if it's a subversion or not, but that Johnny's a deadbeat. But she doesn't care.
Mm-hmm. She's really supportive and loving of him regardless.
Regardless of how fucking dumb
bad.
he is.
Well, bad at everything.
Bad at everything. Like, completely inept. Doesn't learn from any situation whatsoever.
But that's part of what makes him funny, is that he doesn't learn from anything. At least early on. Like, later on, it kind of gets... They don't present it in a well enough way for it to be endearing like it is for season 1.
Yeah.
So,
I would say... once again, I just think his mom's an interesting character in the scope of cartoon moms.
Yeah.
At the very least. Because of her kind of... I don't know, she's a little crazy, too. Just kind of doesn't get it.
Sort of flighty. Like, she's just up in her own world. Like, with the episode with the alien that we watched from season 2, I think it was, she, like, is trying to be helpful, but in, like, a not good way. But she thinks that she's helping regardless. And, I mean, that's sort of a cartoon mom thing, but not one that you usually see. And
not quite the way she does it, the way it's played.
I feel like that could be an interesting thing to talk about. Cartoon parents and
good
examples of cartoon moms and dads.
Yeah. The one that I always think of is, for some reason, the two that I always think of are Fairly Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron. Both have two pretty, I would say, very similar sets of parents.
Mm-hmm. Early on, I would say more so, because later on, both of Timmy's parents kind of fall into being the same deal. Whereas, like, Jimmy's mom is kind of more of like the voice of reason, and Jimmy's dad is just kind of funny.
That's right. Well, Jimmy's dad he's eccentric.
I like Jimmy's dad.
Yeah, it's a good character. I think it's really funny.
I don't know how well Jimmy Neutron would hold up, but I do kind of.
I think it'll hold up terribly.
Yeah. Well, I mean the animation.
The animation.
Well, yeah,
it's really unfortunate. Because I think the show is inventive to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. Here's a trope that I don't like, though, is boy geniuses.
Yeah. It's just kind of lazy, and there's not a lot to do with it past a certain
Johnny
point.
Test.
Well, he's not a genius.
But he invents all the things.
No, he doesn't. His sisters do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's a Dumbo, but he steals them from his sisters. They're like, here, test this. And then he does, and it turns out bad.
I still hate that show.
It's really bad.
I hate everything that it stands for.
It's ugly. Let's get away from other Johnnies. Let's go back to Johnny Bravo.
Well,
so the meat of, I think, what we want to talk about is the transition of Johnny Bravo from season 1 all the way to season 4. So let's start with season 1 and talk about what's good about season 1 and why it works so much better than the rest of the show.
Well, Johnny has a personality.
And the episodes are only 7 minutes long. Okay, season 2.
Okay, we didn't see that much of season 2.
Uh-huh.
I would say season 3 is still okay.
Yeah.
The key is that the episodes need to center around Johnny. He is the only inherently funny character on the show.
Mm-hmm. Everybody else is kind of just a trope that they bring in to kind of bounce off Johnny to make situations happen or work better.
Right. And Johnny himself is a trope to a certain extent, but he's one that's not...
He's not played completely straight. Like, he's not played the way that you expect it to be.
Right. He's not played straight, and it's something that hasn't been explored in much else, to my knowledge. This 50s caricature. We can talk a little bit about his history as a character. the original intent was for him to be an Elvis impersonator.
Yeah, so the creator of the show, Van Partible, in animation school, he created a short called Mesa Blues, where it was supposed to feature 3 kind of greaser Elvis impersonator guys that were very 50s styled. We haven't watched that short. We talked about it, but we didn't get around to it. And regardless, he eventually shortened it to just one 50s guy, Elvis impersonator, for work. It was too much work to have 3 of them on screen and doing different things. And the short was eventually picked up by Hanna-Barbera. They liked it a lot, and then he got the green light to make a complete short of Johnny Bravo, and then it got picked up from there by Cartoon Network. That was a mess of words. I might want to do another one of that.
No, I think you did fine.
Okay, cool.
That was
Felt
fine.
like I stuttered and stopped a lot.
Well, that's my entire presence on this show.
Okay, cool.
But okay, so he comes from this background of being an Elvis impersonator, so you kind of know his personality. But then he has the womanizer tendencies, and he watches a lot of TV. He's almost Beavis and Butthead-esque.
Yeah, I can see that.
Where he
doesn't do much. He likes chicks. He wants to score.
Yeah, pretty much.
He lives with his mom. I'm not gonna try. It's gonna be bad.
But okay, so there's a marked difference between at least the first 3 seasons and then the 4th season.
Yeah, so another interesting thing to note about the creator is that for this show, he only worked on the 1st and the 4th season. So seasons 2 and 3 are completely out of his hands.
And seasons 1 through 3 were done in 2 years?
Yeah, they were done from 97 to 2001.
Right.
Is when the last one aired.
And then season 4 was only 2004.
Yes.
So what we theorize is that they brought the show back after it had its initial run, but they kind of sold out. They sold out. The sellout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you get it?
Good nod.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay. So the original.
Sorry, go on.
So the original creator comes back to the show, and he's like, okay, we have this beloved property that did pretty well when it was on. I took a break. We stopped running the show. Now let's come back. Let's just we'll have some celebrity guests on occasionally, and we'll make it kind of a blockbuster for the kids to be into. We don't need to think too hard about the jokes. Let's just make it what it is.
Yeah, it's something that the kids are going to recognize. The parents will know the celebrities, and maybe they'll tune in with their kids or be like, oh, hey, Johnny Bravo, you like that. I like Shaquille O'Neal or Don Knotts or Richard Simmons or whoever's on
or
this
Mr.
week.
T.
So, yeah, of how many episodes are in season 4? Like 13, I think it was. I think it was 13.
I think it was 13 A and B.
Yeah, so well, they would run at the same time.
26.
So 13, like they would run, because it was a 30-minute show. 13 A and B would play at the same time.
Right.
So of the 13 episodes, 5 of them really heavily featured celebrity cameos, which is a lot.
No.
Right?
Was it? It was only 5 shorts, though, right?
Well, yeah, but still, they would be on during that block.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, there were 26 shorts total.
Okay.
There were 13 episodes, sure, but of the 26, 5 were celebrity cameos.
Mm-hmm. Well, almost exclusively, too, which is what's weird about it, is that it was about them instead of Johnny, and it felt really different from how the show was originally portrayed.
Right. When, say, Adventure Time, to give the golden shining example of a cartoon, when they bring on a guest, it's usually as a side character.
Mm-hmm.
They are never playing themselves.
Yeah.
And the episode usually doesn't center on them.
Mm-hmm.
It centers on Finn or whatever ensemble cast member that they're going for that week. Now, the episodes in Johnny Bravo center completely around the guest, essentially sidelining Johnny, who is pretty much the
titular character.
He's the only interesting character on the show, and they just kind of I don't know.
They do their thing. They fool around. There's still jokes at the expense of Johnny, but it feels almost, I don't know, manipulative.
It's manipulative because it feels like a vanity project for each of the people featured. It feels like, hey, look at me. I'm a cartoon character. This is the joke. Mm-hmm. Period. There's nothing else there.
I'm Weird Al, and I'm on Johnny Bravo, so laugh at that and not the actual jokes that we didn't write for this episode.
And that's the problem. Is like Weird Al is funny.
Yeah.
And he's a good voice actor too. Mm-hmm. He could have done something really wacky and weird.
He's been on Adventure Time, and he was funny. He was Banana Man.
Yeah, he's been on like tons of cartoons, and he's great.
Yeah,
but on this, he's just kind of playing a douchebag version of himself,
basically.
And it doesn't feel true to him. It doesn't feel true to anything. I don't know. It all falls flat. That episode is awful.
There were only 2 episodes, I think, that we were completely miserable through, and they were both celebrity cameo episodes. The Mr. T one was whatever. That was fine. It didn't matter. He was there, but Johnny was still a part of the plot. The one where Weird Al and Don Knotts and Blue Falcon show up and give Johnny Bravo a makeover was horrendous. It felt 3 times longer than it was. The one with Shaquille O'Neal was... it was so bad.
The Shaq one is like one of the worst 10-minute cartoon episodes I've ever seen.
Johnny Bravo probably speaks for less than like 30 seconds of that episode.
And there's so much... It relies so much on just clips of basketballs going through hoops.
Yeah.
And glorifying Shaquille O'Neal. Like, very needlessly. It's just...
There's nothing to it. It's just Shaq playing basketball for like 7.5 minutes.
And I mean, that's pretty far past Shaq's 90s prime, right? Like, he wasn't really doing much at that point, so. Was he?
Not really.
So, literally, like, this is just an excuse to stroke off in Shaq's direction. Like,
yeah.
There was nothing. There is no substance to that episode. There's barely a crafted joke.
If you don't believe us, just go watch it yourself and be as miserable as we were.
The joke is that Johnny Bravo gives Shaq good luck. And so he straps him to his back and plays with him.
That sounds funnier than the actual episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it turns out that all along Shaq was actually just really good at basketball.
You know, if Johnny and Shaq had any chemistry together whatsoever, it might be fun.
They feel like they were recorded in different states for their lines.
It feels like they were recorded in like different years. Like, it was so wooden.
Shaq says a line and then Johnny says woo.
Johnny just kind of reacts, and then Shaq doesn't respond to that reaction.
Yeah.
And then they go and they do another layup or something.
Yeah.
And then they interact with the press, and they...
for like 2 seconds.
Johnny
says, I like fried chicken, I'm hungry.
And then he doesn't get fried chicken. It was fried bucketed dessert. Wasn't that it?
Didn't I think dessert? So. But it was chicken.
That was supposed to be a joke.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It was supposed to be a visual joke because there was chicken on the screen, but then he said dessert.
That's pretty funny.
I think that was the joke.
Let's
correct me if I'm wrong, crowd.
If you want to watch it, be my guest.
It's
so. What else is there to say about this show? I mean, we kind of jumped the gun on talking about all the shit that it gets into.
Did we really get into the kind of like sexism point of view much, or do we?
I don't think so. I mean, we didn't really talk about that while we were watching it, but we're 2 white boys, so
we're 2 white boys. I don't know. Would it get made? I think
it could. It would need a different spin.
But what would the different spin be? Like, that's so centric. We talked about that earlier. Like, that's very centric to Johnny Bravo as a character.
He would have to learn.
He molest people in this.
Yeah. He would have to learn. There would have to be some sort of change within Johnny Bravo as a character throughout the episodes that made him not as much of a dick.
So it's a there's a continuity to Johnny Bravo, and he learns.
I don't even know if that would work.
He learns slowly how to respect women.
But that wouldn't be funny eventually. Like, part of the... Not that disrespecting women is funny, but part of what makes Johnny Bravo funny is that he's a dick, and then he immediately gets recompense for it. Like,
Right.
if he's being, like, really grossly offensive to a woman, she sprays him in the face with some green thing, or she hits him with her purse.
And he's completely unable to defend himself.
Yeah, even though he's
way.
like this giant buff dude, like, he can't really do anything harmful to anybody. Like, it's constantly played for laughs that he's this big buff dude that just gets beaten up by literally anyone.
So is that the problem with this show? Is it just so two-dimensional that there is only a set number of things that you can really do with it?
But there was the season 1 episode where he goes on a date with a fucking antelope, and it was weird, and it almost worked. It was funny at
Written
points.
by Seth MacFarlane.
That's something we didn't bring up, is that Seth MacFarlane got his start on Johnny Bravo, writing about Johnny Bravo going on a date with an antelope.
That seems like something that like a very beginning writer would do, like something so weird, and then like try to craft an episode around it, because it wasn't very funny necessarily.
Yeah,
it was just very
weird.
strange.
Yeah, things just happened in that episode, and it was just you were along for the ride, and that one was completely watchable. I never felt like that episode dragged too much.
I think I enjoyed it. Maybe. Like,
what was the episode that you enjoyed the most of the ones that we watched? I forget. Johnny Noir. That one had some good lines. It had some okay jokes.
It had like
Noir Johnny.
2 good jokes.
Yeah, but that's all we can ask from Johnny Bravo, right?
I can't help but want to expect a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the one that I did really like.
Cartoons are just so much different now. Do you wanna pull it up? I know you had the list of the episodes that we watched.
I only did the first 2, so I guess
it was probably one of the first
second
ones.
one. The Perfect Gift. What was that?
That was the one where he was trying to get the gift for his mom, and little Susie had her lemonade stand.
I enjoyed that one.
That one was fine.
I like that one.
There's not a lot to say about it. I mean,
the jokes are just still really like two-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that get us the most are just the nonsensical lines.
Yeah, the Johnny-isms that he has.
The Johnny-isms.
Whenever he's just speaking directly to the audience, or something happens and he reacts to it in a way that isn't. It's definitely not something you would expect.
Yeah, it's something. Well, okay. So most of the jokes in this show feel like they've been done a million times before.
Yeah.
So the ones that are funny to us are the ones that are the Johnny-isms, because they are completely unexpected, and you feel like no other cartoon character has ever said that phrase ever.
Absolutely.
Like that's the fun part. Like the mayonnaise rain.
Forget what the other good one was. Whenever I think of Johnny Bravo, I always think of the one from the antelope episode that we watched, which was he's like calling 911. He sees himself in the mirror. He says, "There's a beautiful man in my house. Oh, sorry, false alarm. It was only me."
I mean, that's kind of an overused joke.
It's still funny.
It's funny. It's funny in the context of him actually doing it.
Yeah, of his character.
Yeah,
and he has a good voice. It wasn't as deep as I remembered it, but Jeff Bennett does a very good job portraying this chauvinistic asshole that Johnny Bravo is.
It's the big disappointing factor is that we really like Johnny Bravo as a character. He's somebody you don't want to root for him, but you want to watch him.
You want to see what happens to him.
Yeah, you want to see what happens to him, because it's just his character is inherently funny, but you have to write jokes around that, or else it doesn't do anything for anyone.
So, what else is there to say about Johnny Bravo? How deep are we?
I think it's around 30 minutes. So we've gotten about halfway to the point we did in OKKO.
Well, OKKO, we had a lot more to say about it because we had positive things.
Well, we had positive things, and there was a continuity and a
there
really developed
There were more
world.
characters to talk about as well. There's basically just Johnny, because everybody else just kind of shows up for what they're important for and then completely disappears.
Yeah, and the world's just like a city.
Yeah.
There's just...
How do you feel about the animation style of Johnny Bravo? Did anything stand out to you?
I was worried about it, and I think it looks pretty good for the most part.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think once again, the really angular style hasn't necessarily aged well, because everything nowadays is very fluid, very less jerky, more turkey.
Yeah, more healthy for your children. Less fatty fluids.
I did like the way it looked for the most part. I actually really enjoyed some of the character designs and all of that. I can't say the same for like Dexter's Laboratory and a few other shows from
all of the
era.
character designs for this feel pretty good within the world. I don't remember having any specific qualms with anything other than the moose in whatever that one episode was.
Another really weird episode, but that one wasn't...
It wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny or good.
It was 10 minutes long. I think that was its folly.
If it was 3 minutes.
It was 3 minutes.
Maybe it would be funny.
They would have been able to get all of the substance in with half of the non-jokes they put in there.
Well, okay. One thing that I was going to ask is kind of the difference between cartoons then and cartoons in the internet age. Because I feel like there's a completely different level of self-awareness in these shows, which might make it harder to revisit a lot of them. Because they feel really one note in comparison to these shows that build kind of like a steady progression.
A big thing is that they're not held to the same standard because they're not immediately as rewatchable and as explorable as all of the cartoons in the modern age are because of the internet and sites that just let you watch them as soon as they come out and rewatch them instead of having to wait for the reruns on TV, as well as the increasing age of people who
enjoy cartoons.
Like we're fucking 20. I'm 21. You're 22, right?
Yes.
And we still watch cartoons, and we still make a fucking podcast talking about what we enjoy and why some of them work and why they don't work.
But one of the reasons why they do work nowadays, why us as 22-year-olds, 21 and 22, can enjoy them, is because they're written well, and they're written with the intention that I'm making something for a child to understand, but something that's going to stay with them. Yeah. Something that's distinctive and interesting and told in a way that's never been done before. And that's the power that the children's entertainment has. It's something that really, really sticks with you at a time when you're really impressionable. So the shows that we watched when we were children and are really nostalgic for, that's a really powerful thing. Yeah. And kids these days, they get to grow up with Steven Universe and Adventure Time and
OKKO in a month.
OKKO in a month. Yeah. All these ridiculous, colorful, beautiful shows.
Yeah, they're really stylized. There's a lot going on. There's crafted jokes.
They're funny.
There's worlds to explore.
They're relevant too. That's another thing. Literally the one thing that seems like it was of its time was in Johnny Bravo was the deer episode when he was logging on to the internet because he had never done that before.
That was funny,
and that was the one joke that I thought was kind of funny, is that he gets on the internet and then he starts chatting up with women. He's making
really dated references, like he takes up a lot of cyberspace.
And then
that was funny.
Yeah, and then he goes on a date with an antelope.
Literal antelope.
Because he doesn't know what she looks like. So I think that's a big difference, especially in Cartoon Network. I would say that stuff like Tom and Jerry works still in a certain way because it's purely slapstick. Yeah. It doesn't try for jokes in a traditional sense where they're verbally telling jokes. Yeah, it's all physical.
It plays for rooting for the little guy in the situation, which is Jerry's a mouse, Tom's a cat. Obviously in the real world one of them would win, but they're flipping that situation into which Jerry always comes out on top, basically.
Right. And those shows are also all about the art and how each thing is conveyed, the motion of things hitting each other and and the bumps and bruises.
All
and
the backgrounds in that were really well done for the most part. A lot of it was just flat walls because it was inside the house or whatever. But whenever they go outside, there's lots of really well drawn backgrounds with all of the flora and the fauna and the dogs and the cats and the sky and the ground.
Speaking of the backgrounds later in Johnny Bravo, as we kind of implied before, are really awful.
Atrocious.
Just so lazy, so boring.
There were faces that a 4-year-old could have drawn in the background of the Shaq episode, just copied and pasted over and over again to fill out the arena seating for the basketball place. And
that's the thing. It almost felt like they were trying to make a joke in that, but the problem is it's just not the right joke to make. It's laziness disguised as a joke.
And I don't even know if they were trying to disguise it as a joke or they were just trying to shove it out as quickly as possible. Because that entire season came out within a year. Whereas the other ones are stretched over at least like a full year. That one was I think 7 months.
It's just depressing.
It's sad.
It's depressing that's what cartoons used to be. Mm-hmm. And it used to be like that on a much broader scale in like the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. At first it was just mediocre Hanna-Barbera stuff where they figured out how to animate things really cheaply and then just milked that as much as they could. I mean, a lot of the characters' designs kind of look the same. They don't.
Flintstones.
It's all just slapstick and mediocre joking. I would say it wasn't until when in the 90s do you think it became a little bit better? I think Animaniacs is a point where they took the old style of the slapstickiness and then they
subverted it and then added in jokes that
add in actual jokes, add in some cultural references to appease the parents. But I think that show gets away with it because it is pretty funny and has some clever dialogue. Good, amazing animation. Really, really great stuff.
Another thing to note about that is that was also the time that a lot of violence in cartoons was being cut out for kids trying to replicate stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they don't really show straight up violence and stuff anymore. Like, even Powerpuff Girls has, the quick cuts to, they don't actually throw the punch. They go into it, and then it'll show a still frame of the bad guy getting hit.
Yeah. I mean, Powerpuff Girls was still pretty violent.
Yeah, there were blood and teeth flying out of people's heads and stuff. Yeah. But they weren't actually
it was marketed for kids 7 years old and plus.
And it was also targeted at girls because they're little girls trying to fight evil, succeeding in fighting evil.
We should watch that.
That'd be fun. The old one, of course.
Maybe we'll find some early Cartoon Network show that we actually enjoy.
I think Dexter's Laboratory wouldn't be awful. Regardless of the character designs, I think there would be some stuff in it that might hold up.
I'm making a face right now because I saw a couple episodes of it and did not think it held up very well at all.
I haven't seen it in probably 7 years plus.
What does hold up is Samurai Jack.
We should watch that too. We need to watch the new season too.
We should focus on.
How long is the original stuff?
It's 3 seasons, but each episode is 20 minutes long, I believe.
Okay.
What I would do, once again, this is... Samurai Jack's another one that doesn't have a very good continuity in the first... Actually, it's 5 seasons, I think.
Oh, jeez.
I might be... Yeah, wait, no. 4 seasons, because the new one's the 5th. That's it.
Okay.
I think. Samurai Jack, you do not have to watch the entire thing.
Okay.
And really, you don't need to watch any of it necessarily. But I would say that it would give you a good background to jump into the 5th season.
Okay, I'll have to check some of it out.
I'm extremely excited for the 5th season, which is already out. I just haven't seen the whole thing.
Okay,
it's so good.
Well, that's enough about Samurai Jack. Let's wrap up Johnny Bravo with a tight.
I feel like we're trying to avoid talking about Johnny Bravo.
Never open up that box again.
Nobody, because there's not much more to say.
If you want to watch it, watch the first season. It's fine enough.
It has its funny moments. You'll laugh a little bit. You'll get some giggles.
Yeah, there's some Johnnyisms in there that are funny. There's some situations. I don't know. There's something about just seeing Johnny in his most pure state that's just funny.
Yeah.
Like him interacting with things on the most basic level, and then they don't know what to do with him.
At the very least, you'll enjoy your time watching it for that first season or so. I don't know about the second one.
We didn't watch much.
Maybe third season was okay.
Yeah.
But do not avoid the fourth season. Do not watch it.
If you want to feel real sad or just see what cartoons eventually devolved to in the darkest ages of Cartoon Network, go and watch season 4 of Johnny Bravo.
That wasn't the darkest ages, though.
It wasn't Johnny Test. What would you rather watch? Johnny Test or season 4 of Johnny Bravo?
That's a really good question, because at least Johnny Test is paced really quickly.
Shit happens in
Johnny Test. As much as I hate that show,
yeah,
at least things move.
Okay, what would you not watch before Johnny Bravo season 4? What's a show
that is worse,
or a cartoon that is worse, you think, than Johnny Bravo season 4?
Oh man. I'm trying to do one that won't like piss off too many people.
Yeah.
Because I have one in my head, but that one's also pretty well beloved.
Whisper it in my ear and then cut it out.
No, I'll just say it. Rugrats.
Yeah.
I hate watching Rugrats. I hate the visual style.
Is it really well beloved, or do people just like say, "Oh, I liked it when I was a kid," and then never touch it again?
Some people like it.
I've never heard of anybody like in the last like 10 years saying, "Oh yeah, I like Rugrats."
Well, okay, fuck Rugrats.
I don't know. I might even. It's hard. It's a hard choice.
What is the worst? It's got to be.
Or let me think of a different one, so I don't have to say the same thing as you. What's something that's worse than season 4 of Johnny Bravo? It's hard. It's real bad. It's real bad.
It's like borderline unwatchable.
Oh, let's see.
What about like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? That's a show
that's real bad.
We watched a few episodes of that.
It was on while we were hungover, I think.
Yeah, and we were just like, okay, this
let's
looks
see what
like
this
a
is
show.
About.
Maybe it'll be good. What channel is that on? Is that Disney?
I honestly don't remember.
It's not good.
Avoid that one too. That might be.
We're not gonna watch that.
Yeah. I would say we should take a look at it, but there's, again, with shows that we really don't like and there's not a lot of substance to, there's only so much that we can say.
Right. I remember the visual style wasn't terrible, or was it pretty bad?
I don't remember. I've tried to erase that show from my mind. I would say that's probably worse than Johnny Bravo season 4.
Yeah, it was extremely mediocre, and the concept of, once again, boy genius is really overdone. At least by like Dexter's Lab and Jimmy Neutron.
All right. Well, I think that's everything that we can say about Johnny Bravo.
We've
given our recommendations. We've said that it eventually gets incredibly lazy and manipulative with celebrity cameos and no jokes in it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I just feel so bad. I wanted to like this. I wanted it to have some really good jokes.
Yeah,
but
and the first 2 episodes we were having a good time. We were both laughing. It wasn't great, but it was something.
Right. It was respectable.
Yeah, it was a fine cartoon. And then as we watched more and more, we just got more and more depressed. We started looking at each other and just giving each other looks in between episodes and just saying,
we were we were exasperated. Like, we didn't know how to react.
No.
There was that one joke where we both looked at each other. It was so bad. It was like a cutaway joke. I forgot exactly what it was. But it was so bad that we both just like stared at each other for a sec. We squinted. We gave each other a good squint.
Yeah.
And
joke made me fucking squint.
I'm cutting that out.
Okay, cool. Oh.
But yeah, there were moments that were absolutely horrible. So that is the end.
Sorry this one was so sad, guys.
We are sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we're not going to pretend to like something.
No. You shouldn't do that. It's dumb.
We spent a good 2 hours?
Probably 2 hours.
2 hours watching this show.
Do you want to watch the movie now? There's a Johnny Bravo movie. Johnny Bravo Goes to Bollywood.
I think that is the thing that I would least like to do right now.
Maybe some other time then.
Maybe some other time.
We might have to redact this with Johnny Bravo Goes to Bollywood.
Let's never watch it, please.
We'll see.
Though I am curious.
Yeah.
20. Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's another big break. This one came out in 2011. Johnny Bravo Goes to Bollywood. It has a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb, which is
7 years later,
slightly lower than the series as a whole. It has, I think, a 7.3 or a 7.5.
I would watch 30 minutes of it to get the feel for it, and if I'm not feeling it, I
turn it off to never return.
I can't do it, Johnny. I'm sorry, Johnny.
Sorry, Johnny. We thought you were a good boy.
You are a good boy, but well,
your show was nothing but.
Well, I think that's it for the Cel-Outs podcast. Hope you enjoyed becoming depressed.
Hope you're as sad as we are now. Hope you want to go back and watch Johnny Bravo to disagree with us and are completely disappointed.
Well, I guess let us know in the comments section.
I think that's a good note to end it on.
Or if you're not watching on YouTube, give us an email. We don't have an email, do we?
Not
we should get an email.
Specifically for this, I don't think.
All right. I'm not giving you my personal email. Well, we'll see you next time. We haven't decided what we're going to do next, but hopefully we'll probably pick
some giggles.
Yeah, we'll probably pick something that we enjoy a little bit more, and maybe give us some time, not cut so close to our schedule, so that we have some time to
indulge in the
to make sure that like whatever show we do is something that we at least somewhat enjoy,
or something that we have something really interesting to say about, because the whole thing with Van Partible selling out for season 4 there's not a lot to say about it. We don't have much to base it on. It's just sad.
All right,
the end.
Officially the end. Good night. Enjoy your time. Watch Johnny Bravo if you feel so inclined.
If you dare.
If you dare. I wouldn't do it, though.
No,
I wouldn't do it again.
I don't dare.
I don't think I'm going to ever watch this show again.
Let's watch Gravity Falls. That's a fun show.
Yeah, we could do that.
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Gravity Falls, you guys.
Bye-bye.
See you around. Bye-bye.